I get a ton of questions about, Patrick, how do I pick a geographic farm? Now, if you're a coaching client of the Tom Ferry world, you know this is a hugely valuable opportunity as a real estate professional. If you've paid attention to any of some of the stuff that I've been teaching on, the three big assets for a real estate agent to have long-term financial success and security, then you understand that geographic farm is one of the major plays. So let's dig in here so that I can help you out. There's three components in the geographic farm. Number one, there is picking the community. Number two, there is the understanding of what I refer to as relationship capital. And then number three, there's the marketing campaign. What do we do? How do we get business? So let's chip away at this real fast. How do you pick? So two things that I always ask. Number one is, where do you live? How long have you lived there? And tell me a little bit about that community. What I found is a huge mistake is most agents are not farming the community that they live in. And that is a big mistake. Or they go, I want to do this neighborhood. It's this high-end neighborhood and there's all kinds of sales and I love that community. Very difficult to do. So let's explore first your community. And I firmly believe that every agent should be doing geographic farming in the neighborhood that they live in, if they're raising their kids in, or if they have. This is such a huge opportunity. Okay, so before we jump into numbers, we need to look at that factor. Now let's talk a little bit about numbers. Okay, so we want to look at the total number of properties in the community. Then we want to take a look at how many sales occur in that community annually. I want to look back in the last couple of years. It goes up and down, no big deal. Okay, so then what's the average sales price in that community? Now we can take the average number of sales, average sales price, median, however you want to do it. Now we got the sales volume. Now when we get the total sales volume reoccurring over the last couple of years, great. Now, if we take on average, let's just say the average commission is 5%. Okay, so 2.5 to the buyer, 2.5 to the seller. Okay, well, now the total GCI available annually is X. Now that's when it gets exciting. So let's look at a few different formulas that we hear out there. We hear about turnover rate. What are we talking there? Well, I lived in a community called the Costa Valley in South Carlsbad. There was about 1,000 homes, to keep math simple, and there's 4 subdivisions in there, and on average, there's about 40 sales per year. So the turnover rate was 4%. Now, Tom recommends that we get to 6%. Ideally, that would be amazing, but depending on what's going on with you and your scenario, that 4% might be okay, because when I run the numbers, watch this, 1,000 homes, 40 sales, my average sales price was $1 million. So $1 million times 40, that's 40 million. And for most of us, we understand that a 2.5%, 40 million times 0.025 equals $1 million in GCI. Yay! Now, if we have a buyer side and a seller side at 5%, now we're talking about $2 million in GCI available within my community of these 1,000 homes on average every single year. Should I go after a percentage of that? What's the answer? Absolutely yes. Now, it's not the perfect 6%, which would be amazing, but to go after a percentage of the 2 million GCI, the 40 sales, that's absolutely worth it. It's in my best interest. Now, I would be asking questions about short-term versus long-term. See, that was a short-term stopover for me in the Coast Valley, but I've run into clients where they've been in a community like that and they've lived there for many years, and they've also raised their kids there, or they're planning to, and that's a gold mine. So let's jump over into step number 2, which is relationship capital. See, this is where we got to look. I'm going to ask you, so one of my great coaching clients, she said, Patrick, I've lived here since the beginning of the community being built. I have like 12 years. I've raised my family here. My kids went to the school right here locally. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of relationship capital, meaning that she knows a lot of people, not a lot of people know her. And I asked, have you been doing geographic farming? She said, no. Huge mistake. Okay, big financial mistake. But you can see now, to bridge the gap, if you say, hey, I am a community member in Community X, and I'm also a real estate agent, that makes all of your marketing a lot easier. See, it's super simple. That's what relationship capital is. So now we're also looking at, okay, well, how many people do you already know inside of this community? So maybe past clients, maybe your sphere of influence. So all of a sudden we start looking at your database and your phone and your contacts, and you already know a bunch of people in there. That makes that just a little easier, okay? So now we've got the numbers, we've picked, the area. Oh, one more thing I forgot is there a name of the community? Do they self-identify? I am a neighbor in La Costa Valley, right? And so I remember when I was door knocking and I set up an event in La Costa Valley, it's like, hey, knock, knock, knock. Hey, I'm a neighbor here in La Costa Valley. We're setting up a garage sale. And I say I'm also a real estate agent. And it was easy because I'm a neighbor first, setting up an event, and oh, by the way, I'm a real estate agent. How can I help? See, that was easy versus knock, knock, knock. I'm a realtor and I'm doing this thing. Okay. It's just so much easier. Now, so we've got identity, we've got community, we've got numbers, we got relationship capital. Now let's jump over to marketing. This is where all of you want to be. Please think in terms of a campaign. Okay, what do I mean by a campaign? Well, we've got the same year every year, January through December. There's the same seasons, there's the same events in the season, events in the community. There's this event here, there's this event there. Well, when we look at the entire year at a glance, now let's write our marketing plan based upon events and seasonality and triggers. Now we can actually construct a 12-month marketing campaign. Now, Patrick, well, what about, is there a direct mail piece that's going to create the result immediately? Well, the answer is no, of course not. But there's a campaign that could produce extraordinary results and get you a % of the market share, and that's what we want. So don't look at this thing short-term, look at this thing long-term. If we run and execute a marketing campaign over the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, could we get you to 10, 20, 30, 40% market share? Okay, and I've successfully helped many people get up to 50% market share, and that is exciting. Okay, so this is where we got to work. Now let's talk about our options. Andy C., the great Tom Ferry coaching client and previous coach, he did the amazing script on the knock, knock, knock market update script, turn around and walk away. And so there's the scripting market update, door drop, there's door hangers, there's direct mail, okay? Then there is phone calls. Sure, people can cold call into your farm, great, right? There is doing, networking inside of the community. Maybe there's some local shops, restaurants, community organizations. There's always next door, critical. There's always maybe a Facebook group that you can participate in or start one, really good. There's always events that you can be participating, networking. There's always charity events that you could be participating and helping out with. So there's so many things besides just direct mail that could allow you, A, to expand your sphere, expand your relationship, expand your brand, so that when the direct mail comes in, that they're actually like, oh, that's Patrick, and oh, that's Carly. We love her. She's so sweet. I met her at. Oh, I didn't realize that she was a realtor. Oh, that's great. I'll give her a call because we're thinking about selling. Versus postcard, oh, realtor. See, that's the difference. So what I would say is, how do we get you the most relationship capital through looking at the entire calendar year with all of your options, so that when you do a marketing campaign, you do a door knock, you show up to an event, you do a phone call, you do anything on behalf of your real estate business, they're like, oh, Patrick, hey, that's right. See, that's the game. How do we dramatically up the relationship capital so your marketing produces extraordinary results. A couple simple little things. How do we get a fast start? Okay, a fast start in Geographic Farm. Why don't we go look in the last 5-10 years of expired, cancels, withdrawn? Give those guys a call, write them a letter, go knock on their door, go talk to those guys. Is there any for sale by owners in your neighborhood? Go let them know, hey, I'll do an open house for you. I'll do anything. Just give me the listing, please. Okay, this is where doing the mega open house that Tom's been talking about makes such a big impact, where you invite all the neighbors to come to the open house. That's where you get to meet lots and lots and lots of neighbors and really build your relationship capital. Okay, so that when you drop your direct mail, they're like, oh, that's right, Patrick's in real estate. Oh, that's right, I liked him, right? So then there is non-owner occupied. So the out-of-state owners, and there's the tenants who live in those properties. So you can build that list of, here's the non-owner occupied properties, and we can market to the tenants. And then here's the non-owner occupied in their actual physical address, and market to them and see if we can't get a listing from them, and then pick up the buyer and sell them into the community, or sell them something in the geographic area. So there are some sweat equity strategies for a little bit more of an immediate business, rather than just direct mail. It's not all direct mail. So I commonly am telling my coaching clients, look, I personally realized that relationship capital plus direct mail is what works. Direct mail by itself, just as Tom said, you better increase the frequency 2 to 3 times a week, to where they're just like, wow, this real estate agent's pretty committed to this stuff, right? Or you better have really good direct mail. Now, one of my great friends, she did 3 garage sales a year. And when you do 3 garage sales a year, you end up meeting a ton of the neighbors. They appreciate what you've done. And then she did the newsletter into the community once a month. And surprise, surprise, a couple of years down the road, they have like 30% market share. Surprise, surprise. So could you do an event, some type of charity where people get connected with you? Relationship capital. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, can we do some social media video campaigns, some YouTube strategy videos in there? Absolutely. There's tons of interesting digital stuff, as well as physical stuff, face-to-face stuff, phone stuff, text message stuff. There's so many ways we can skin the cat. One of the last thing I'll say on this is making sure that we get, today we have a lot of access to what's called market reports, right? Where we're sending sold data. So make sure that when someone in the community, say, hey, would you like me to set you up on a custom list of properties, of new listings, price reductions, pending, sold, any property that comes on the market that possibly will influence the value of your home? Would you like me to set you up on that custom list of properties? Most of the time they're going to say yes. Then you say, what would be the frequency that make the most sense? Once a week, twice a month, once a month? Oh, I'd love to see that, twice a month. Great. Set them up on a saved search with sold, pending, and new listings. Customize it for them, specifically for your community. You're off and running. If we can get a couple hundred people getting your emails with a custom list of properties on behalf of your brand, that's free and highly powerful. So there's so many ways for you to skin the cat. The game is pick well, understand relationship capital, look at the whole year as a marketing campaign, figure out all of the events and all the things that you can participate and create that face-to-face momentum. Then we'll do some direct mail to support your initiatives, or we'll do sweat equity, door drops, and talking to people. Then we can integrate some of the immediate sources, the phone calls to the non-owners, the phone calls and the emails and the door knocks to the expired, cancels. And then when we get a listing, we got to go all in and do that mega open house to meet as many of those neighbors as possible. This is how, right? Why Tom is so adamant about Geographic Farm being a part of your long-term success. This is why I believe it's one of the assets that we can build over long haul that is saleable. And or you can literally put an agent in place and do revenue share, and you go on vacation for a year and create income. I hope you enjoyed this long session on geographic farming. How can I help you with yours?